One Last Pruning, written and narrated by Brother Frank Natoli. While many of us have a favorite hymn from the beautifully inspired hymns of praise that have touched our hearts and brought tears to our eyes, the Songs of Zion are unique to our church. They're songs that belong to a new time. They belong to a new era. They belong to our people. They're songs sent from the throne of God as a gift to the Church of Jesus Christ. And they're inspirational and related to Christ and his promises of the latter-day times and events. This gift was given to our late Sister Arlene Buffington as our songs of hope and joy, looking forward to the fulfillment of the kingdom of Zion, bathed in the latter-day glory of the restoration. Today's focus is number 32, One Last Pruning, by looking at the meaning and the application of the song, because it's too easy to sing without paying attention to the words and their meaning. The first verse. See the laborers in the vineyard. Count their number, note the few. Heed the word, the invitation. One last call, a call for you. Cast your lot and choose your people. Stand today and be a man. Time is fleeing, night's approaching. Work the vineyard while you can. Verse 2. See a million standing idle, while the call continues loud. Every man to each a penny, prune my vineyard growing wild. One last time for one last pruning. God would have a people true. Nothing vile, no unclean being, none to mar fair Zion's view. Copyright 1980, Arlene Leah Buffington. Now, some shy away from reading the 5th chapter of Jacob. Maybe it's because it has 77 verses and feels like it's too long of a chapter. Maybe because they find it challenging to understand the symbolism or the meaning behind the tame and wild tree. Maybe it's the complexity of the storyline. But this song simplifies the message with 2 verses and no chorus. Interesting how such an intimidating chapter can be understood with a few verses of a song put to a melody of musical notes. But before we focus on the song, let me attempt to break down the complexities of the chapter by describing the scene and the representations reflected in the account. So there's a vineyard or an olive farm, which is the world that we live in. There's an owner, the master of the farm, which is the Lord. He created it and everything in it belongs to him. There are laborers, that's you and I, who are followers of Jesus, who serve the owner of the farm. There are some trees, some tame, bearing good fruit. These are the chosen trees, the house of Israel. Then there are trees, some wild, not bearing good fruit at all. They would be the Gentile nations and those who don't serve the Lord. Now, the owner's desire is that all the trees would bear good fruit, and it turns out that the owner of the farm will do whatever it takes to preserve these trees. He really loves his trees, and he really cares about them. So much so that it hurts him to see anything bad happen on his farm. He fertilizes the roots, the very foundation of the gospel of Christ, to strengthen those trees. He prunes the trees, cuts off branches where necessary that the trees will be fruitful. He grafts or attaches branches from other olive trees to ensure that the roots and the trunk of the trees survive so that good fruit can be eventually harvested. He even extends his farm to far-reaching areas and plants trees there, scatters the tribes of Israel. He does whatever he can, all that his farm might survive the challenges of some of the good fruit going bad, sin and transgression among Israel, conditions of drought, the apostasy, etc. Always looking for good ground, good conditions under which he can see his farm flourish and be fruitful. Well, that's the 5th chapter of Jacob in a quick summary. But if you dig into the details, you'll find that this farmer actually records 4 plantings or visits, which chronologically align with periods of time, beginning with the covenant the Lord made with Abraham and the house of Israel, through the scattering of Israel, the apostasy and restoration of the fullness of the gospel, the engagement of Gentiles, and latter days that lead to Zion. Verses 4 through 14 is the first planting. 15 through 28 is the second planting. 29 through 60, the third planting. And 61 through 77, the fourth planting. Now, this song focuses on the fourth and last planting, or the time when there will be one last pruning. This fourth planting is our day and time and our future. We're encouraged to look around and to see how very few really want to serve Jesus in the corrupt world that we live in. This is our time to stand firm and labor to build his kingdom in righteousness. We're called to sanctify and purify ourselves because this is what it takes to see Zion. Yes, many stand idle, but we're asked to labor as the Lord prunes away the wildness so that both Israel and Gentile might bear good fruit, that nothing would mar fair Zion's view. Jacob 5, verses 74 and 75 sum it all up. Quote, "And thus they labored with all diligence, according to the commandments of the Lord, of the vineyard, even until the bad had been cast away out of the vineyard, and the Lord had preserved unto himself that the trees had become again the natural fruit, and they became like unto one body, and the fruits were equal, and the Lord of the vineyard had preserved unto himself the natural fruit, which was most precious unto him from the beginning. And it came to pass that when the Lord of the vineyard saw that his fruit was good, and that the vineyard was no more corrupt, he called up his servants, and said unto them, Behold, for this last time have I nourished my vineyard, and thou beholdest that I have done according to my will, and I have preserved the natural fruit, that it is good, even like as it was in the beginning. And blessed art thou, for because you have been diligent in laboring with me in my vineyard, and have kept my commandments, and have brought unto me again the natural fruit, that my vineyard is no more corrupted, and the bad is cast away, behold, you shall have joy with me because of the fruit of my vineyard." May God bless you.